I hope you enjoyed that video with Louie Schwartzberg, reminding us that everyone matters and every experience in our life is one to be grateful for, even if it doesn't seem like something to be grateful for at the time. I've watched that video probably 10 times, and each time I'm just as inspired as if I saw it for the first time. As Louie Schwartzberg reminds us, today is a gift, and that's why we call it the present. And the reason to live gracefully is to continue to live in the gift, in the presence, to be in the present moment. Thank you to Unity of Chattanooga for making me feel welcome once again. Thank you to all of you who made this service possible, and all of you who are watching, tuning in, or maybe watching later. I love you, I bless you, I behold the Christ in you. And I want to say a special thanks to all those on whose shoulders we now stand to bring these messages, these gifts of the present to so many people throughout the Unity movement. A man was interviewing for a job, and he was so excited. He hadn't worked in a while. The interviewers were the CEO and the human resources director of the company. They were excited too because this man had an impeccable resume, and they were so interested in all of his experience and what he had to share. But they noticed there was a 5-year gap in his experience. And the CEO said, "What were you doing in those 5 years?" He said, "Oh, I went to Yale." They said, "Wonderful. You're exactly who we're looking for. You're hired." He said, "Thank you for the job." So my message today is about grace and gratitude. Today's daily word is grace, and the affirmation is grace is a constant blessing. Grace is a constant blessing. I'm reminded of a movie that was filmed in Tennessee, in Memphis, as a matter of fact. And the movie is called The Grace Card. I've watched that movie probably a dozen times. And the movie is not a true story, but it certainly rings true. It's about a tumultuous time in the city of Memphis. There was racial tension and all kinds of things and distrust of the police force. And one of the police officers had a grandfather who played the part of, who was a famous actor I love, Louis Gossett Jr., played the part of the grandfather who had been a preacher. And this particular police officer was wanting to become a preacher and follow in his grandfather's footsteps, but he was torn because of the experiences he was having with racism on the police force and whether or not he was up to being a pastor of a church. And one of his conversations with his grandfather, his wise grandfather, he pulled out a book from his bookcase that was very old. And inside the book was a card. He explained to them that this book was given to an 8-year-old boy who had been a slave. And the master had taught this little boy to read, and in his death had given him this book. Now, you know, during slavery, it was dangerous to teach a slave to read, but this master saw something in this boy. This boy was the great-grandfather of the police officer and the grandfather of his grandfather. And this grandfather became a preacher. So it was a long line of preachers. The card in the Bible that the master had given to the young 8-year-old boy read, "I hereby promise to pray for you every day, ask for forgiveness, and grant you the same, and be your friend always." That's called the grace card. And never underestimate the power of grace to heal even the most difficult situations. This Thursday, we'll be celebrating another Thanksgiving. Many of you will have family and friends over, and you'll roll out the red carpet and a bountiful feast. But you know, Thanksgiving is just one day, and I believe in Thanksgiving. I think that every day is Thanksgiving Day, an opportunity for us to express our gratitude for the very things that we take for granted. The little things, the sun coming up in the morning, the moon and stars at night, the refreshing rain in my part of the country, and maybe even yours, the snow, the various seasons. There's so much to be thankful for. Our breathing, our being able to have this conversation on, Zoom, technology that we might not have been able to use 10, 15, 20 years ago during a pandemic. How would we have communicated? Being thankful for everything is what the Apostle Paul talked about. 1 Thessalonians, the 5th chapter and 16th verse says, Rejoice always, pray without ceasing, and in every circumstance give thanks. It doesn't say just give thanks when things are going well. It says in every circumstance give thanks. That's exactly what I want to talk to you about today. I'm reminded of Doris Day coming on television for an orange juice commercial when I was a little girl singing, "Make every day count, do what you really want to do, every day, every day, every day." Make every day count, every moment counts, every day matters, and everybody matters. Gratitude is a choice. You can choose to be grateful, or you can choose to be hateful. You can choose to be glad, or you can choose to be sad. You have a choice in your attitude. You might not be able to change your circumstances, but you can change your attitude. Maya Angelou said, if you don't like something, change it. And if you can't change it, change your attitude about it. That's one of Unity's most important principles, that we create our reality based on the thoughts we choose to think, the beliefs we choose to hold on to, and the actions we choose to take. We create our reality. We can choose to be grateful. We can choose to be happy. The story is told of Midas, King Midas, and the golden touch. You probably remember that story from when you were in elementary school and you read children's stories that have adult meanings and adult themes, and this is one of them. Midas had a wish that everything he touched would turn to gold, and a genie granted his wish. And he was piling up the riches, he was piling up the gold. And then one day he gave his beloved daughter a hug, and she turned into a golden statue. And he realized that having everything turn to gold does not create happiness. And so he asked the genie to please reverse this curse so that his daughter, his one love, would return to him. And then he realized that we're already rich. We already have enough. We don't need everything to turn to gold. We have all the gold we need in the love and the happiness and the joy that we share with others. Gratitude flourishes in the sphere of grace. And grace is a prayer of gratitude. Meister Eckhart said, if the only prayer you ever say is thank you, that will be enough, because grace is a prayer of gratitude. So how do we apply this idea of grace and gratitude in our life every day? As I said earlier, the Apostle Paul was all about teaching grace and teaching people how to forgive and live an abundant life as Jesus taught us by living a life of grace and gratitude. I want to repeat 1 Thessalonians 5:16 because I think it's important enough for us to keep being reminded. Rejoice always, not just sometimes, not when things are going well. Rejoice always. Pray without ceasing, not just to say thanks or turn thanks, as my mother would say, when you say grace before a meal, but pray without ceasing. And we know that every thought is a prayer. And in everything, without exception, be grateful. In everything, the Apostle Paul says, give thanks. I found this piece by an unknown author who obviously is a master of the attitude of gratitude. They write, I am thankful for the wife who says it's hot dogs tonight because she's home with me and not out with someone else. I am thankful for the man or the husband who is on the sofa being a couch potato because he is home with me and not out at the bars. I am thankful for the teenager who's complaining about doing dishes because he or she is at home and not out running the streets. I am thankful for the taxes I pay because it means that I am employed. I am thankful for the mess to clean up after Thanksgiving dinner because it means we are surrounded by those we love. I am thankful for the clothes that fit too snug because it means I am well fed. I am thankful for my shadow that watches over me because it means I am walking in sunshine. I am thankful for the lawn that needs mowing, the leaves that need raking, the snow that needs shoveling, the windows that need cleaning, and the gutters that need fixing, because it means I have a home. I am thankful for the complaining I hear about the government, because it means we have free speech. I am thankful for my huge heating bill, because it means I am warm. I am thankful for the parking spot I find at the far end of the parking lot because it means I am able to walk and I've been blessed with transportation. I am thankful for the lady behind me in church who sings off key because it means that I can hear. I am thankful for weariness and aching muscles at the end of the day because it means I am capable of working hard. I am thankful for the alarm that goes off in the early morning hours because it means I am alive. Finally, I am thankful for too much email because it means I have friends who are thinking of me. So your challenge today, as you move beyond this present moment, is when you appreciate what you have, it grows in value. If you have antiques around or you've watched that Antique Roadshow, people who've held on to things that have been passed down find out they're worth a whole lot more than they could have ever imagined. You are worth a whole lot more than you can ever imagine. And there are people in your life and things in your life that have great value. What you appreciate, hold on to, take good care of, appreciates. Because what you appreciate appreciates. Remember, there's always something to be grateful for. When you're grateful for what you have more to be grateful for. And you'll discover that what you have is always enough. Grace and gratitude, by the way, come from the same Latin root word, gratus. And when we find ourselves in a stop the world, I want to get off frame of mind, which happens to all of us from time to time, it's important to remember that there's another way and open ourselves to grace simply by looking around and looking within and realizing that we have much more to be thankful for than we usually take account of. When we open ourselves to grace, we can overcome any obstacles. And we do this by taking a moment to be grateful for this day. Make every day count. Grateful for being alive. As the Apostle says, Paul says, for everything, give thanks. Here are a few simple reminders as I close. Your job is the dream of the unemployed. You need to be reminded of that. There are people who want what you have, even if you don't think what you have is enough. There are those who don't even have that much. Your house is the dream of the homeless. To you, it may not be much, but to someone else, it's a castle, a mansion. Your smile is a dream of the depressed, and there are times when you may not feel like smiling. You may be wearing a mask, and maybe no one can see your smile, but your eyes can smile and tell a story that behind those eyes lies a person who is grateful for everything. Your health is a dream of those who are sick, and you may not be in the best of health, but someone else may wish they had what you have, that they may not be as well off as you when it comes to their health, and they wish they were in your shoes. Beautiful things happen when you distance yourself from negativity and count your blessings. So look around you, look within you, and find something to be grateful for right now. And express it right where you are. Let the world know that there's always something to be grateful for. Before we begin our meditation, I invite you to relax and bathe in the calming music of Sherry Hersey and Rick Cowling to lead us into a sacred time of communion with Spirit.